Hi everybody.
Hi everyone. In today's video I wanted to talk about cuticle because this is a very important topic. So we're going to be working on two nails here and I'm going to explain what cuticle is and how to remove it and how to take care of the skin around the nails.
Now would it be cuticle or the cuticle?
I guess the cuticle, no?
The cuticle.
Yeah. Okay, so on this nail, I'm going to show you how to remove the cuticle with the cuticle remover. And on this nail, I'm going to show you how I remove the cuticle with electric file and how I do a dry manicure. Because before shellac, I prefer to do dry manicure because you don't want to introduce any water before any gel application. But for polish application, using a cuticle remover is perfectly fine. So now, there was a huge confusion about what cuticle is and what cuticle isn't. So we used to think...
Do you think it's confusion or misunderstanding?
Misunderstanding and confusion, and like it's bad out there. So what we used to think is that the cuticle was everything. Was this part of the skin was cuticle and this was a cuticle. You see that white film? But what cuticle is, there has been a lot of research done recently by Doug Schoen. He spoke to many doctors, many scientists, and they discovered that cuticle is actually only this part here that's stuck on a nail. This part of the skin that ends here is actually a living skin, and it's called a proximal nail fold. So proximal nail fold is a living skin. Cuticle, that's right here, it's a dead skin. And I'm going to show you how this actually happens. So what happens is, very quickly, proximal nail fold is actually like a flap of skin, kind of, that we see here, and then it flips underneath, right? And let me just move this. And this is what happens. So this is your proximal nail fold, and this is the edge of the proximal nail fold. And what happens is this skin normally sheds cells, and when the skin flips over, I guess, right, this part also sheds skin cells, and that part actually becomes a cuticle. So this part sheds cuticle, and the cuticle gets compacted. It's almost like you can imagine here, gets kind of compacted underneath, and it grows with the natural nail stuck to the nail. So what we are trying to do, what we should be doing, is to remove the cuticle, this part, and to just push back the proximal nail fold. But if this part is cracked and dry, that's not your cuticle. This is a living skin that's cracked and dry. And by cutting it or aggressively filing it, you are actually making it worse, because the skin is trying to protect itself and it's going to build up more skin and callus. And then you get caught in this catch-22 cycle that you're cutting it, then it gets swollen and inflamed, and it starts to build more skin, and you do that every week, and it just becomes a big disaster. So yes, removing this. So when you're putting the cuticle remover, you are going to be putting it here, and then after a minute or two, this is going to soften up the skin so you can actually remove it gently. Okay, so like you're gonna do this almost. And what happens is sometimes when you push back the proximal nail fold, when you're not doing this on a regular basis, and I see that a lot when it comes to new clients, is that this skin gets stuck onto the nail when it's not pushed back, and it starts to grow with the nail, especially when the skin is not taken care of, when people are not using oils or creams. It's very dry and it's stuck to the nail, and it starts to stretch. So initially with clients, when they come in for the manicure, I push it back just gently. I don't try to shove the tool underneath, because this area of nail is very it's soft, it's a new nail, and this is where the nail is building here. So you don't want to be creating inflammation and really pushing, because you can damage the matrix. So with new clients, I explain to them that well, I don't, but if someone cuts the skin, it initially looks good, but eventually, like I mentioned earlier, it's going to callus, and it's going to peel very often. And a lot of times clients don't like to even, they ask me not to cut it, which I don't, and they're very relieved because they say that initially it looks very good, but that 2 days, 3 days after, when the inflammation subsides, it starts to peel really badly. All right, so I'm going to show you how I do this on clients. So I ask clients to wash their hands. We removed the nail polish, so that's why the nails are dry. And also I wanted to show you, and it's easier to show when the nail is dry. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put cuticle remover in this area, and the cuticle removers normally are actually very alkaline, so they break down the skin. So you don't want to be putting that on a living skin. You just want the dead skin to lift off the nail plate properly. So we're going to leave this for a minute, and in the meantime we're going to work on the other hand. So this is an advanced technique, so definitely you don't want to be using this if you're not familiar with and you're not very skilled with electric file. And I know in some areas it's not allowed to work with electric file on the nail plate in some countries, so do whatever you can and what you're allowed to do as a nail technician, but over here we can use it. So first of all, again, I'm going to push back the proximal nail fold, and because we're doing regular manicures, actually, you know what, I have a picture of your nails so you can see, and you can see how the skin actually, the living skin, again, not a cuticle, was kind of overgrown almost because it was stuck to the nail plate. So now, because we're doing manicures on a regular basis, the skin is kind of trained to kind of sit nicely, and it kind of receded nicely as well. So again, push back the living skin, not the proximal nail fold, sorry, not the cuticle, but the proximal nail fold, and that exposes the cuticle. So now I'm using I'm going to show you a very fine diamond bit, and I'm using electric file on a very, I would say it's almost a minimum speed. And what I'm going to do is I usually exfoliate this area a little bit, just from that little callus, and sometimes there is little catches here that people like to pull on and cause a lot of damage. So now I point the nail down so I can get into the little groove, and these are very, very light touches. This is a very, I'm not pressing down, and I see a lot of nail techs really using much higher speed and way more pressure. So it's not the machine that causes the damage, but it's the hand that kind of puts too much pressure. So I truly believe that this method is very safe when used very, very lightly. So you see, all I'm doing here is just removing the dead skin cells that are compacted on a nail plate. And that's all I'm doing. I don't, if that area was cracked, like really this is not a good thing to be removing dryness by filing it off. So for example, if you have a dry skin on your face, you're not gonna file that skin trying to remove the dryness. You can exfoliate it a little bit, very, very gently, but you're not going to try to remove the dryness by filing. You're going to use creams to protect the skin from dryness. And this is all that I do for my shellac manicures. And over time, I really don't see any damage on the nails. So we're gonna go back to the other nail. So now I'm going to spray water because we want to make sure that the cuticle remover is removed from the nail plate. So a good amount of water. And now, you see, I'm going to just, and I do almost like these little circles. So I'm not shoving anything underneath. You want to make sure this part kind of protects the skin. And this is what I do. You want to make sure that you kind of turn the nail a little bit and clean the sides. So you see all this stuff here that was cuticle. But again, this part, this is not a cuticle. This is a proximal nail fold and the living skin. So now we will leave behind, like if there is a little pieces of skin, you can trim them, but I find it's much more effective. See these little pieces? These are kind of like torn skin or like a little calloused skin. You can trim them, and I'm going to show you how to do it with the cuticle nippers. Okay, so now just these little pieces. I really don't go in and cut this because again, it's going to grow in. So there's nothing to cut here, so I would leave it. And this is it. And you know what? Using the nail oil, and that's why I don't call it a cuticle oil, is a nail oil, because cuticle now it's gone. Why would you use anything for your cuticles? It's gone, cuticle. So the oil that you're using is for the skin around the nails and for the nail. So it's a skin and a nail oil. And also I would recommend cream that has a small percentage of urea. If the skin is very dry, you can actually put even cream that has a little bit higher amount of urea at night and just kind of dab it around the nails, because that really will exfoliate the skin and make it look much, much better. So now after this, just a drop. And now you can see that everything looks good. So if that skin is taken care of, it's not going to look ugly without cutting. Okay, let's see the other one. And use the oil. And I tell clients to use oil like literally after every time they wash their hands. After every time they wash their hands, because you know what, you're washing it off, right? So I'm going to show you very quickly how much of the oil I personally use. So in the salon, I don't use brushes because it's a little unhygienic. So I use always a dropper, but at home, I prefer to use these little oils. This is, for example, the cuticle oil. Daddy oil is very good. This one actually is very good, has good ingredients. So this is exactly what I do. So, and I literally show this to a client ever so often because they think that they have to put so much like we did earlier with the dropper, and then they just don't want to do it because it's too greasy, right? So this is what I do. Dab, 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 dab. The other hand, wipe it off, just dab it. And I like to have these bottles all around the house and in my purse. And that way, when I wash my hands, I see it, I take a little cream. I'll show you how much cream I actually use. This much, my both hands. And I show that to clients. And I do that every time I wash my hands. And you know what? I don't have peeling nails. And I work with acetone, I work with gloves. I wash my hands 50 million times. And I'm going to show you how my nails look. Okay, my polish is kind of messed up from working with nail polish, but with nail polish remover. But you can see there is no peeling, there is no dry skin around the nails, nothing. So as you can see, both of these techniques are good. They're safe when done properly, but definitely don't just, you know, go to town with electric file on yourself or your clients, and use very, very good quality if you are choosing to do this. Very, very good quality electric file, something that does not vibrate because, or that doesn't slow down, because what happens is the cheaper files, when you put them on a very low speed, what they do is they slow down, so they completely stop. So then what people do to counteract this problem is they speed the machine up, and this is not safe. Like, this is kind of 30% up. This is not safe on a nail, or like they work higher. Like, I truly believe working on a minimum speed, my machine doesn't show what RPM is, but like on this RPM, that's all you need. And a good, this is a medium diamond bit. Okay, so this is this is the after. I wanted to show you how it looks when everything is finished, when everything is done. So you can see like this skin looks very, very good, very normal. And I find when people cut the skin around the nails too, this gets all puffy and red and just doesn't look good.
That's nasty.
And yeah, nasty. Okay. And I quickly wanted to mention these bits. So this is diamond. Small barrel, I believe. I'm going to put a link in the description
Isn't
box.
that a small barrel fine diamond
yes,
bit
yes,
by Erica?
Yes, yeah. Thank you. And I also like using the Erica files. This is a medium that I've been using for many months now. Medium grit. I think it's diamond file. Yes. That's why I need you in the videos.
Why, thank
and
you.
the good thing about it is that the edges are not very sharp, so you can get in nicely into the little grooves.
Now, did you have to kind of pre-dull the edges?
Yeah, I do usually with like a file, but I'm gonna actually ask Erica and see what they recommend, and I'm going to mention that in the description below as well. And the Erica MT20, which is not available anymore.
Yeah,
sadly.
these are discontinued, but they are the flagship of.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And one more thing I wanted to mention, because a lot of people say, oh my God, what if the clients have overgrown cuticle, which is overgrown, damaged, usually skin around the nails or the proximal nail fault, if you want to use the proper term, is patience is my answer. Because you know what, and I feel that a lot of my clients are very, very understanding. So when they come in for the first time and the skin around the nails had been stuck to the nail and we pushed it back, it does kind of look a little, you know, ugly at first, but you know, literally it takes 1 to 2 manicures for this to improve. And I'm putting that on Patreon because we had a lockdown. So some of my clients didn't come in for about 2 months, and after those 2 months you can see how the skin kind of got stuck to the nail and it kind of became overgrown.
They didn't fare very well.
Yes, so I'm going to edit those videos and put them on Patreon, how it looked for the first time. And yes, it's not perfect, but you know what? An average person, I find, they're not expecting perfection, they're expecting progress. And when you explain that to people, they are perfectly fine with that. And I'm going to also, I'm gonna make a special video just with the prep that I'm doing each time. And you'll see the difference between the first manicure, the second, and the third, and by the third manicure you're gonna see a big difference. So yeah, I'm gonna do that and put those videos on Patreon, so check out the links below for the to get the link to Patreon, right?
Correct.
And what else did you want to say?
About the Erica MT20, if you guys can find one, get one. They are difficult to find at this point because they've discontinued them. However, if you can get one, same with the Erica MT30.
Yeah.
If you can find those, pick them up.
This is 20 years old. The machine is 20 years old, and it's perfect.
Yeah, this thing runs.
So it's been, because I use it mostly for natural nails, so it's been serviced a few times, but not too many times. And because you wanted to make sure that it's clean, the bearings are done, or I don't know what they do, once every few years. But it's an amazing investment, and I wish they continue with these EFILEs because they're
amazing.
They're absolutely amazing.
Yep.
It's a great tool. But you know, you use this for precision, and you don't use this for speed or to cut corners. This is not why we use tools. We use tools to make our job better, not necessarily faster.
Correct.
Right? It's not for speed. It's for quality of work.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if you're using that to provide like a faster manicure,
that's not the point.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, don't, because you're gonna damage nails. And another thing about nails is that, you know, the nail is built in layers. So kind of looking this way. So the first few layers are very, very dense and very resistant to even water or to damage. But if you remove that layer by filing it off, you are, can I just see your nails for a second? This is gonna have to grow out. So don't overfile, don't overbuff, because you can see there is natural like little grooves and texture in the nail, and you see that it's still there. It's not removed. This is not smooth. This is not pink. It's a healthy, normal, natural nail. So this is how it should be, because the more damage you put your nail through, the more problems you're gonna have, even with nail polish retention, even with gel polish retention and things like that. So
sensitivity,
yeah,
etc.,
breaks and everything else. So first, the most important thing is not to overfile the nails, not to damage the nails. And this concludes this pretty long video. Actually, I thought I was going to do a quick one, but it never is a quick video. Anyway, so hopefully you'll find these tips helpful. Let us know what you think.
These tips and tricks.
Tips and tricks. And we will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Ciao.